1% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't live the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get punked, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in a Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the Hustlers quick to roll, the gangsters don't move. Whatever.
Say what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a pro violation. Yard down. Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. Yeah, that's me gassing on that intro song. And if you want to get that song, hit me up on my email, 16tolifemusic@gmail.com, and I will give you the information to get it. Now, let's get right into this video. So a couple videos back, while in the midst of telling a story, I spoke about a situation I got caught up in when I was in Billings, Montana, somewhere around 1990, 91. You know, for those who may have just been tuning into my channel, you know, back in the days, I used to go out to Billings, Montana. I had some cousins who lived out there, and I used to get my hustle on, right? And so I was telling a story where I ended up being stabbed in the head by this young woman, and I ended up punching her a couple of times and kicking her a couple of times, right? And so a dude in the comments, he said something along the lines of, "Chill, I'm ashamed of you for doing a Buster type activity, but I'm also, you know, I give you your props on taking accountability or being able to admit it to it," or something along those lines, right? And so I was just tripping on how he must have just glossed over the fact that I said the girl stabbed me in my head, right? So I'm gonna give you guys that story, right? Because I wanted to give the full story, right? So like I said, man, I'm out in Billings, Montana now. The female, her name was Shaman. Now Shaman was maybe about 5'10", maybe about 215, 20 pounds, possibly more, you know, but she definitely was a woman of a bigger stature. Now, I'm in Billings, Montana, you know, out there in Billings, Montana, it was a nice amount of black people there, you know what I'm saying, to make me feel comfortable. You know, you had a lot of pimps and players and hustlers there and stuff from Oakland, Rockford, Illinois. Matter of fact, one of my partners just gave me a call the other day, man, Ice Cream, man. So I think I'm a reach out to him and interview him and this other dude, man. I've been meaning to, you know, tap in with. So anyway, you know, it's enough of us out there to make, you know, everybody feel comfortable, and we kick it and hang out in the same circle, so on and so forth, right? Now, Shaman, I guess she happened to like me or whatever. I don't know. She was black and white, you know what I'm saying? She was black and white, light skinned, and so I don't even remember how on this particular night she came to my house. Maybe we had met up and was talking somewhere at a club or whatever, right? Now when she came, it was extremely cold. Like in Montana, it gets extremely cold. Sometimes, you know, it will get below zero, right? And so on this particular time when she came to my house, I was living in this furnished apartment, right down the street from where the Greyhound bus station used to be back then. And it was extremely cold, snow on the ground. I don't remember how cold it was, but it was very cold because she came and she had recently had a baby. Now, the baby was probably, at that time, 2 or 3 months old, you know. And so I was like, damn, you know, you outside with that baby, it's hella cold and stuff. You know, that baby should be put up somewhere in the house or whatever, right? So at this point, she's there. So she come on inside, you know what I'm saying? We do what we do. I knock her down, whatever, right? Now, if my memory serves me correct, and I believe I am, the very next day, it couldn't have been more than 2 days, but I believe it was the very next day. Later on in that day, I heard that the baby had passed away, right? Now, it may have passed away from, I think, is it Sis disease, or is it crib death, or whatever they say. Well, sometimes, unfortunately, a young child just happens to pass away, right? But in my mind, I was believing that it was because she had that baby out real late at night when it was extremely cold, right? So, and like I said, she wasn't my girlfriend. She just happened to come through, you know what I'm saying? And we did what we did, right? So now, fast forward at least 6 months, or maybe it was a year and a half, because the incident that took place between me and her was in the summertime. So that's how I'm knowing that it was at least 6 months. I don't know if it was the following, if it was the following June or July or whatever, but I know that it was summertime when this incident takes place, right? So now, on this particular day, we down at a park known as South Park. Now, South Park is on the south side, of course. People over there, they hang out, you know what I'm saying, play basketball. So we had a few people just hanging out. I remember her cousin Nisha was over there. Now, I don't know if at this particular time Nisha was dating my homie OZ. My homie OZ, rest in peace. I had him out there with me. They may have been dating at this particular time. You had Nisha, me, OZ. You had just, people just hanging out in the park. It was about 15, 20 of us. We all hanging out, talking, laughing, clowning, whatever, right? Now, I don't remember exactly what it was, but at some point, Shaman, she starts, trying to talk about me or clown me or whatever. I don't remember exactly what it was, right? But she's not knowing that I'm the class clown. I got jokes and I'm all that, right? So like I said, she's a pretty big lady. So immediately, I go to telling jokes. I don't remember what I was saying, but I know I got everybody laughing. Everybody is laughing, and I'm on her helmito with these jokes. At some point, she gets upset. She gets mad, and she all of a sudden runs over to me and tries to slap me. Now, when she tried to slap me, I leaned back. She tried to hit me a couple of times. She trying to slap me and talking stuff and talking crazy. Then she rushes me. So when she rushed me, and all the time, I'm backpedaling, I'm moving and stuff. This time she reaches out, she grabbed me by the collar of my shirt. So when she grabbed me by the collar of my shirt, I grab her by hers and I pull her down. So now when I stand up, my homie say, "Oh, chill, you bleeding. She didn't stab you. She didn't stab you," right? So I touch the side of my head. I look at my hand. Yeah, sure enough, man, it's blood. She definitely didn't stab me with something, right? So later on, I found out she had stabbed me with some cuticle scissors. I'm not knowing this at the time, right? But like I said, I look, once I see my head bleeding, and my homie say, "Yeah, she stabbed you." I run up on her. I give her a two-piece. Boop, pop. You know what I'm saying? I get off on her instantly. Now, like I said, man, she was a girl of big stature, and at this time, I'm only 5'9", 140 pounds, right? So the girl probably outweighs me at least by about 60, 70 pounds, right? Like I say, but anyway, boop, pop, I two-piece her. Man, she must have ate that two-piece like street tacos, like it was nothing, and she was like looking around for some more, right? So now, I think I may have gave her another hard right. Bop! You know what I'm saying? I'm not 100% sure, right? But I do know I was on her helmito. And I do know, like I say, once again, she was eating them punches like street tacos. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, my homeboy OZ, he come up and bow, he fire on her. Now, when he fire on her, she go down. When she go down, I instantly run up on her and boom! I kick her dead in her face. I'm not gonna lie, right? And the sound that it made was almost like maybe one of those NFL punters. You know what I'm saying? When they punting the ball off to the other side, it made a nice good smack. You know what I'm saying? Now at this point, her cousin Nisha, she go to hollering, everybody's hollering, chill, stop, so on and so forth. I'm like, no, fuck her. She done stabbed me and all this old type of stuff. Now my head is really leaking. I'm leaking. So people's like, chill, kick back, kick back. So at this point, man, I leave the broad alone. I definitely remember them going to try to pick her up. She stands up she gets up on the knee and she's woozy. And then they lift her up. She kind of like she's really woozy. She almost falls. Somebody else catches her. They walk her to the car. She get up out of there. You know what I'm saying? Somebody bring me some napkins and stuff, and I put the napkins on my face, and I'm bleeding pretty good here, right? So long story short, they take her and she goes to the police office, the police station or whatever, right? Makes a report. I don't remember exactly how, right? But some type of way, maybe OZ, her cousin Nisha told my homie OZ because I believe they was dating at that particular time, right? So some type of way though, it gets back to me that the police is looking for me. She didn't went down to the station. Now, previously, I don't know, maybe about 5 6 months before that or whatever. The police came and arrested me. I had a warrant. I was hanging at one of my partner's house. My partner was out there hustling. Just so happened he had left. So I'm hustling out of his spot while he's gone. A dude come, I serve him. When I'm letting him outside to leave, a bunch of cars pull up. Inside one car, the dude turns on the dome light and he's looking at a paper. When he turns the dome light on, because this is at nighttime. When he turns the dome light on, I look at him. I recognize, oh, that's the undercover police. I can't remember his name at this particular time, right? So anyway, I shut the door. I run back there. I try to flush the work down the toilet. We used to hustle and we used to sell that soft white, you know what I'm saying, in these little things called bindles. And the bindles was like it resembled a small envelope, and you would make it out of paper. You'd cut these little triangles out of paper, then you'd fold them up and then stuff them in there. And so, and I would have that in a plastic baggie. And so when I threw the baggie in the toilet, according to them, I guess one of them came out, right. So initially that night they arrested me for obstructing justice. They sent the stuff to the lab. Maybe 5 6 months later, I guess after the lab did testing, it came back that it was positive for that. You know what I'm saying? I don't really want to say it and get the advertising messed up or whatever. So anyway, unbeknownst to me, I have a warrant for possession of dangerous drugs. So now I'm driving around, right? Now I'm noticing that the police car every now and then they following me, right? I'm noticing this, but I'm driving around or whatever, right now. I've got work and I'm delivering it, and I go to a house, I drop off, I leave, I see the police, they sitting on the corner just watching me and all this old type of stuff right now. Fortunately for me, I ended up, or even on their part, they let me do all this stuff, and I end up making all these deliveries, and I'm finished, right? Later on that night, there was a club, there was a grand opening for a club by this dude named Derek Whedon, right? He was opening up this club that he had just bought. And so as I'm pulling up to the club, a bunch of police pull up, they swoop up on me, they arrest me, they take me down there, I end up bonding out, right? So I said all that to say that this time, if I happen to have a warrant for this situation with Shaman, I just didn't want the police pulling up on me out the blue when I'm doing something I didn't have no business doing, right? So I gathered up some bread. I think one of my females took me down there, you know what I'm saying? So I go down there saying, I'm here that you guys want to talk to me about an incident or whatever, right? So they take me in the back room. They tell me that Shaman has came down there, and like I said, she was a light-skinned girl. I believe I mentioned that she was black and white, light-skinned. They had mentioned, they had took some pictures of her and this and that, and she had talked to them about the situation right now. Where she kind of messed up is she told them, yes, she had stabbed me with some cuticle scissors, right? So that's how I come to find out it was some cuticle scissors. So I'm sitting there, and so the dude is basically telling me that despite the fact she stabbed me with some cuticle scissors, once she fell on the ground and I kicked her in her face, that's when she no longer was a threat to me. And so that's when I had went from defending myself now to assaulting somebody. And so he said more than likely what they would do is they would send a report to the prosecutor, and charges would be filed on me for assault or whatever, right? So I'm just sitting here listening. He asked me if I had anything I wanted to say. I said, no, I don't got nothing I want to say, whatever. Like I said, my whole purpose of was going down there. If you guys is going to arrest me, then I can bail out that way. I just won't have a warrant. I won't have a warrant, and I'm riding around doing things I don't need to be doing. The police arrest me, and then they find the work too, and now I got two situations I got to deal with, right? So now, fortunately for me, they never pressed charges on me. So maybe the DA looked at, she admitted to the fact that she stabbed me in the head or whatever. The dude, while I was there, they did take pictures of my face and all that old type of stuff, right? And so um, that was a situation on that, right? Now, the dude in the comments, like I said once again, man, he said that, I was a buster for doing that. But I don't necessarily believe so, right? Here is a woman, right, who done stabbed me in my head. So now I'm a buster for defending myself and then losing my cool. And later on, when I was in prison, I and I started to take these self-help classes. I learned, and I didn't know it at the time, so this is no excuse for what I did at the time. I learned that also her stabbing me was a trigger, right? Because I had a homie who had passed away maybe about a year before that, right? His girlfriend had stabbed him. Now, they get into an altercation. I don't necessarily know if he hit her or whatever. I do know with some of the homies who was there when it happened, he walked outside. They got into an argument. He walked outside. He looked down at his chest. He said, "Oh, cuz, this bitch didn't stab me. I'm just go in there and fuck this bitch up." He turned around, took 3 or 4 steps toward the house, and fell out and passed away. Now, at the time, my homeboy, his younger brother, Baby Drew, we was in Montana. Baby Drew was the first homie that I took with me to Montana. So we in Montana, right? And so I'm thinking yeah, okay. This is before the incident where she stabbed me in the head, because at the time we got the call, we was living in this house that we used to refer to as the White House. It's a big old giant house. And then later on, I went and got my own little spot, right? So he is there with me, right, at the time that we get this call, right? So in my mind, it don't matter if you a woman, you a man, or whatever. You can stab a person and take a person's life, right? So when OZ said, "Oh man, she stabbed you, chill," or whatever he said, right? And I reach up and touch my head and see that I'm bleeding, man, I'm mad as hell, right? So it does not matter that she was a woman. We've seen little kids pick up guns and accidentally shoot and kill their brother, so on and so forth, right? So and then, and this is no excuse, but at the time, I'm young, I'm wild, I'm gang banging, I'm in the street. I'm not really necessarily giving a fuck. One thing I never did like, and I still don't like to this day, is for a person to play with me with weapons. Don't point no gun at me. None of that stuff even playing, because we have seen many a times where people think the gun is unloaded, and they pointing the gun at their friend and this and that, and the gun goes off and they kill them. And ever since I was young, I've always, for whatever reason, been against that, man. Don't play with me. Don't point no gun at me and pretend. Don't do none of that old type of stuff, right? So I guess the dude who left the comment was upset with the fact that I kicked this woman in the face or whatever. And like I said, man, the female stabbed me in the head. And so once the homie said that, "Hey man, she didn't stab you," that's one of the first things that came to mind, was the homie Ronnie, who had been stabbed and killed by his girlfriend. So hey man, y'all tap in the comments and let me know, man. Was that a buster move for me to go berserk on this woman after she stabbed me? Or was I supposed to just let her stab me in the head and I walk away with my head bleeding and say it's no big deal, she's a woman, all forgive her? Anyway, you already know what it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.